What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with Chris Bumstead. And what I have to say was one of the most anticipated announcements. And almost all of the bodybuilding community was waiting for that. An announcement on which, by the way, Chris Bumstead is getting a lot of backlash. Because a lot of the people were thinking that he is gonna announce that this is gonna be his final Miss Olympia. Or maybe he is switching to the men's open after this year. But it had nothing to do with any of that. And as I mentioned this, when his story first came out, that this is most probably gonna be a business-related announcement. And that is exactly what it was.
Daddy's home.
So first of all, the famous clothing brand, Gymshark, they aren't sponsoring him. He is now a part owner of that multi-million-dollar brand, which says a lot about the success of Cbum as an athlete. So why people are getting angry at Chris Bumstead? Well, he used the power of social media. He engaged millions of his followers by building so much anticipation, and that too within a matter of a couple of days. And I have to say, from a business perspective, that was a masterstroke. That was such a brilliant idea. And yes, I know people are a bit disappointed, because the thing is they were expecting something bigger. Most of them were expecting his retirement announcement. But those were all just rumors. So every year Chris Bumstead says that he wants another one, and he has 5 Olympia titles already. And judging by how he is looking right now, for 4.5 weeks of this year's Miss Olympia, it is a very high probability that he's gonna win his 6th title in 30 days time in October. And yes, he did once say that he ain't gonna be a 10 times classic physique champion, and he is gonna retire before that. So people sort of have mixed feelings about this one, about Cbum's new announcement. But guys, we have to understand, this is how the social media works. But I'm not gonna lie, this is the maximum amount of backlash that Cbum has ever received on the social media ever since he became such a big thing. Next up is the physique update of Marcelo aka Horse MD. So ever since turning pro, Horse MD has done only 2 pro shows so far. He made his pro debut last year at Romania Pro, which by the way was a very successful one. And then he did this year's Arnold Classic in Columbus. So Romania was by far his best physique ever. And that actually led people to believe that he is gonna be one of those guys that will be considered the future of men's open bodybuilding, especially in the upcoming years. I mean, beating a guy like Nitin Diasha at your pro debut, and not to mention Andrea Presti as well. That isn't a piece of cake, and that is actually what gave him a lot of hype, especially for this year's Arnold. But unfortunately, he could not live up to that. So is Horse MD again prepping for this upcoming Romania Pro, which is scheduled 9 weeks from now in the post-Olympia tour? Well, he looks to be in a decent condition for 9 weeks out. And the reason Horse MD got so much exposed at this year's Arnold was due to the fact that the lineup at that show that was of such a great caliber, and not to mention with some of the best back shots in the business. And Horse's back shots, they are some of his biggest weaknesses. And additionally, I have to say, his conditioning at that show, that wasn't nearly as good as it was in Romania last year. So Romania Pro is the first Olympia qualifier after this year's Miss Olympia. And anyone who is gonna win that show, they will have this great opportunity to plan a big long off season and focus on just one show the entire year, the Olympia. And Horse MD is one of those guys who does have a big lagging body part, actually multiple of those. So he is gonna benefit a lot from a very long growth phase. So Horse MD, as of right now, he is still working with Milos as his coach. Next up is the 4.5 weeks out physique update of Jon De LaRosa. So Jon's consistency with conditioning, that is what makes him so damn dangerous, especially in that second call out. He was at his very best at this year's Arnold, especially his version in Columbus. But he got beat by Rafael Brandao, as well as Akeem Williams. So Jon's fate heavily relies on how some of these other guys, how will they show up. And even though Jon placed ahead of Akeem Williams at the Arnold, Ohio, but Akeem was able to beat him at the finals of that show, because Akeem just came in so great for the finals of the Arnold, Ohio, that he was clearly in the 4th place at that show. So we all know Akeem isn't the most consistent guy when it comes to nailing his conditioning, when it comes to nailing his look on the show day. While Jon, on the other hand, we all know is very consistent in that aspect. So Jon and his coach Patrick Tour, they have been doing really great ever since they got together. So Jon is weighing close to 250 pounds right now, this close to the show, and they're gonna push their conditioning even further for the Olympia. Now I have to say Rafael Brandao and Martin Fitzwater, they are gonna be extremely hard to beat in that second call out. But that 10th place, that is definitely up for grabs, and whoever nails it, he will get that placing. So Jon has never placed top 10 at the Olympia before ever in his career, and his aim is to change that stat this year. Bodebi Davo aka Dhestiny, he just won Bino's Classic. So what's surprising is that the amount of prize money these guys gave out, which by the way is more than what most IFBB Pro shows gave out this year. I mean, he won double the amount of money than what Andrew Jack got for winning Texas Pro this year, which seems absolutely insane. And let me correct some people here who were commenting that he is just too big for classic physique based on his trunks. Well, this isn't classic, guys. He competed in the men's open bodybuilding in this show. And if Dhestiny ever decides to switch over to the IFBB Pro League, he will only have one option: to do the men's open bodybuilding, because he cannot even go down to 212 pounds, considering the amount of muscle he has packed on that frame. He has those incredible round muscle bellies, and he is absolutely full-blown as well. So that same Michael Criso formula can be applied in this case as well. He can just continue to be in a smaller league, and he can keep on winning, keep blowing all the competition out of the water. Or he can switch over to the Pro League, get his pro card, and stand next to the best bodybuilders on the planet right now. So the money in his current league, that is certainly a bit more attractive. I mean, getting $30,000, that is a lot of money. And after the Olympia and the Arnold, only one show, Dubai Pro had a higher prize money for the men's open bodybuilding than Bino's Classic. Next up is Ramon Dino, who gives us a glimpse of his current conditioning at 4.5 weeks out. And the man looks really impressive for this far out of the show. So Ramon has one of the best skin for professional bodybuilding, how it wraps around the muscles and how thin it gets. And that is one of the reasons why this guy never gets out of shape, even in the off-season. Or maybe it is because of the fact that he needs to stay in the striking range at all the times, even in the off-season, so that he doesn't have any problems while making that classic physique weight cutoff. And I bet Ramon will look even more impressive if they increase the classic physique weight limit by another 5 pounds. And of course, so will Brion. So these guys did benefit a lot from these new weight regulations. But still, they suffer pretty damn hard to get down to that specific number. So Ramon's strength, that is still over the roof, like it has never been before. And it has been that way ever since he started this year's Mr. Olympia prep. So he will surely be needing a long rest phase once he is done with this year's Mr. Olympia, because this will be a close to 5 months of prep. So Ramon's 2023 Miss Olympia look, that was so damn insane. He was able to close that gap between him and Chris Bumstead, and also he was able to create that gap between him and the third place finisher, Orskleshinsky. So what do you guys think? Will this be Ramon's year? Next up is the physique update as well as the competition plans for Quinton Beastwood. So he made us all really curious by posting that caption under one of his latest physique updates, which by the way was posted just a week ago. So Quinton did a guest posing since then, where he looked in a superb shape, especially if he wanted to start his prep at that point. But going by his recent response, I have to say we can rule out the shows that are lined up after the Olympia this year, meaning Romania and Prague. So hopefully he changes his mind for this upcoming big man weekend. Because right now the most crucial factor is that he puts himself in that winning circle, gets his first professional win, and also secure his Olympia spot for next year. And then he will have the entire year to focus on getting bigger, to grow, to put on more muscle mass, and also put on more density, which by the way has been missing. Because the trend that we have seen this year is that the closer we get to the Olympia, the harder it becomes for some of these athletes to qualify. Now, on a separate note, it is great to see Quinton regaining that size that he lost when he was in prep for this year's New York Pro. So he looks huge, as well as very aesthetic in these pictures. So 2025 is the year when Quinton will most probably make it to the Olympia stage. How many of you guys agree with that? So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.